everyone, and welcome to Stories and Scribes. My name is Jade, and I'm so excited to be here. Okay, so if you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm always talking about how the lockdown has helped me to read more books. And there is this series that the book club I belong to, Divas Read, did, during recently, and it's a series about four brothers and a sister. So there are 5 books in it. And I'm going to talk about this series because I totally love them. And I think that why I love them, because number one is one of my authors, one of my favorite authors, Susan May Warren. She was the one that wrote the series, and it just talks about 4 brothers and a sister, their journeys in life, how they found love and the things that they did. So the first book in the series is Knox. So I'm gonna talk about him, Knox by Susan May Warren. And this book is totally amazing. Before I start to gush over it, Montana rancher Knox Marshall, danger years are behind him. A former bull rider, he now runs the Marshall family ranch, raising champion bucking bulls for the National Professional Bull Riding Expos, NBR-X. Wealth and success are his. His life is stable, expected, and ordinary. He can't help but wonder if his best years are behind him. Kelsey Jones just wants a safe life, a family, a home. On stage, the beauty rising star of the Yankee Belles become the person she longs to be, vivacious and confident, bearing the brokenness that she carries from a violent assault. Becoming NBR-X's next country act is key to outrunning her past and achieving the success and the security she craves. Knox and Kelsey's path collide when an explosion at the NBR-X event traps them both in a bubble, leaving them reeling. Kelsey's crumbling nightmare returns, but for Knox, an obsession to find the bomber is ignited. When Kelsey's past threatens Knox's family, he'll have to choose between saving the Marshall legacy or becoming the protector he always longed to be. The explosive beginning of the Montana Marshall series. So Susan May Warren has this series, the Montana Marshall series, which Knox is the first of the books, and talks about these 5 brothers. But she also had the Montana Fire series, which the first brother Reuben was part of, and we're going to talk about his other brothers and his sister. Okay, so Knox is he was a bull rider, but when his father passed, he left the responsibility of the ranch to him. And well, he took it as a responsibility, and because he always had an eye for raising like champion bulls for the bull riding, confederation or association or professional, he took over the ranch. He began to, so he felt that his life was on hold because he used to be a bull rider, and he was, for him, the top of his life. And all of a sudden, he has to, take the responsibility of the ranch after his father dies. And so there were one of the NBR-X, championship was around the corner. And so, because he also has prize-winning bulls, he took them out for them to be reading, get the prize, get the awards, have money for the ranch, money for himself and all. And then he meets a young lady, scared and frightened, and entered into the tent where food was being sold. And because she looked very timid and fearful, his protective instincts was alerted. And when, she tried to slip and fall and somebody tried to catch her, this guy would leave her alone, that kind of thing. And he was surprised when he wanted to give her wallet that she dropped, and she just took off running. So what will make such a wonderful, pretty young girl so scary? And so after he gives her the wallet and he's on his way, there was an explosion in her trailer, and that explosion had things, how the rubble of explosions, was on it. And Kelsey had a nightmare, and those nightmares are triggers for her because she had a traumatic past. And what happened? Some people in the park with her parents killed her mom and her dad and raped her. And at a tender age, I think it was about 13, she was scarred, and always fearful. And here is Knox feeling that his life is so safe, his life is so predictable, so expected, so calm. And here's Kelsey looking for that. So the first thing that struck me, the irony of life, what you think is boring or expected is what somebody treasures. know, when they say it's one man's meat and another man's poison, that kind of situation. And, you know, Kelsey and Knox, once their path crossed, she always felt safe with him. I know that's how their story went. But he never knew that she was, what did he call them? Yankee Belles. Those like one of the fastest rising music duos, music bands, you know, coming up in that part of the country. And when he saw her on stage, he was like, wow, this is just like an alter ego. On stage, she was a different person. Outside stage, she was a fearful, you know, girl. And he was trying to reconcile the two until he began to understand what happened to her past, what happened to this, and how, you know, somebody was out to get her. Because the person that had committed that heinous crime to her and her family was put in jail, and he was released. And so he was after her again, and they had to now find out why the bombings occurred and why it was targeted at them, you know, towards them. One thing I loved about Kelsey and Knox's story was Knox's ability to give out who he was, to meet Kelsey's need, regardless of how boring he thought that need was. And Kelsey being able to receive it. I know there are sometimes it was like, I don't need you. I can handle this on my own. But Knox did not stop. Knox still went out to say that, regardless of what you think you say, I know what you need and I'm here to give it to you. I will wait for you. I will be patient with you. I would give it to you and make you know that it's available whenever you need it. So for me, Knox, yeah, it looked so simple, but Knox was amazing for Kelsey. And when I read all the stories of the brothers and the sisters, you see that every one of them was cut out in the way they found love, in the way they found themselves, was cut out and received from themselves their spouses or companions in the uniqueness of who they were. And that was for Knox as well. And, you know, the responsibility of the ranch was on him. And it was something that Kelsey needed. She needed a safe space. She needed balance. She needed stability. That's the word. And Knox had it and more to give. So sometimes when we are put in a situation where we say, oh, this is what I used to do, but now this is what I'm doing, you know, you'll find a balance at the end of the time. So if something might change and put you in a position where you have to be stable for a while, and in that stability, God might bring someone or something to your path that you need at that time, or that you are a gift to at that time, or it's a gift to you at that time. I think that whatever cycle of life that you find yourself, try to enjoy it and embrace it. And I thank God that Knox's mom and his dad left a legacy of Christ. There was nothing they did that was not connected to God. There was nothing they did that was not in gratitude to God or in recognition to God. Because some of the times when Kelsey was with Knox's mom, because Knox's dad had died, his mom would tell her, this is the part where I sit down to remember. This is the part where I sit down to thank God. This is time where I recognize God's hand in this and this and this. And while I know that the tragedy of my life could have skewed me and made me bitter, all I recognize is the hand of God upon my life, the mercy of God, the love of God, the truth of God, the grace of God. And I think for each and every one of us, I know that a lot of us have gone through one trauma or the other, one thing that has just made our lives so unbearable. But sometimes if we open our heart to receive the love of God, and you know, God's love comes with healing. God's love comes with forgiveness. God's love comes with the balm of Gilead that causes everything to just, you know, that's what God's love does for us. And I think that opening our hearts to it, to God's love, just gives us the chance of healing. And I think that that was something Kelsey found, not just with Knox, but with the community around Knox. Because sometimes we forget that it's not just the person that we are involved with that matters, that only matters. Also the people around him, the environment around him, the support system around him, because they invariably affect our lives. So for me, Susan May Warren, this was the first one. It was amazing. So I'm going to be doing the series. So there is Knox, there is Ford, there is Knox, there is Tate, there is Ford, there's Wyatt, there's Ruby Jane. I'm going to be doing Knox. I've done Knox now. I'm going to be doing Tate, then Ford, then Ruby Jane. Then Wyatt, we will see about that sometime in the future. Thank you for listening, and I just hope that you allow yourself the gift that God puts within your environment, the people, the places, the opportunities that God puts within your environment, and take it as part of the gift that God gives you for healing, for restoration, for His love, and just for the gift of what life can offer you. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this review. We'll see you in the next episode for another review. Thank you.